I was 8 years old that summer when my parents took me to one of the boardwalks along the New Jersey shore. It was a fun day of popcorn and cotton candy. There was this big stuffed bear that I decided I was going to win, but my dad put a stop to that after I spent more than it was worth trying to throw a ring over a soda bottle. I distinctly remember the point when the day shifted. It was like someone flipped a big switch. The wind started blowing in a different direction. The festive aromas of the boardwalk were replaced by the smell of ocean, and the sun, which had been frying us all day long, vanished behind the clouds. The people who worked there, who lived in the area, they knew what was up. Shops closer to the water closed up quickly. But tourists like my parents didn't know any better. It didn't click until the storm hit. Wild winds and pouring rain, it came out of nowhere. My dad shouted, "Back to the car!" But we were already moving. The crowd pushed us along whether we wanted it or not. I kept checking over my shoulder at my mom, but I was afraid of tripping on the wooden planks of the boardwalk. Grown-ups were already knocking me back and forth trying to get past. I was terrified of what would happen if I fell down. By this time, the rain and fog made it nearly impossible to see. The lights from the shops along the boardwalk were just faint glows. Next thing I knew, the crowd around me vanished. I was trying to duck off to the side and out of the way, but I must have gotten turned around because I couldn't see anyone. I just shut down. I stopped moving and started crying. I called out for my mom and dad, but there was no way they could have heard me over the storm. Then I saw him. At first, it was just a shape walking through the rain, the wavy outline of a person. As he got closer, I could see him better. He was wearing a long trench coat and a brown hat. In my kid brain, I thought he looked like someone from an old movie, like he should be in black and white. Except his eyes. They were so blue, bluer than any eyes I'd ever seen. "You lost, kid?" I nodded frantically. "Keep going that way and you'll end up in the ocean." He turned me around, but I don't remember him actually touching me. He held out his hands to my shoulders, but kept them a few inches away. I knew he wanted me to turn around, so I did. "Keep walking straight ahead." His voice came from right behind me, and I could feel him there. That way you can sometimes feel someone watching you before you know they're there. That faint glow that I could see through the fog gradually came into focus. It was a souvenir shop that I stopped at with my parents when we first arrived. There, standing in the doorway of the shop, was my mom. I walked directly into her arms, and she hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Oh, baby, there you are!" My dad came running out of the fog and tried his best not to sound like he'd just been searching for me. "You scared us there, buddy." I turned to look at the man who found me, but he was gone. As a kid, I wasn't good with strangers, but somehow that man made me feel completely safe, even in the middle of a storm. Was he just a nice guy at the right place at the right time, or a guardian angel looking out for me? Who knows, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. I actually have 3 encounters. The first one is my earliest memory. My mom insists that I don't remember it myself. She thinks that I've just heard her repeat the story so many times that it's embedded in my brain. But I swear that I can clearly remember the events. I was lying on my back as a baby, and there was a mobile over my bed that had planes and clouds hanging from it. When it was wound up, the top would play a song while the pieces circled around. My mom says that I would stare at it in awe until it wound itself down, every time. But in my memory, the mobile wasn't moving. The reason I was looking up was there was a man standing over me. I distinctly remember his face, even though he wasn't anyone from my family. I don't remember what he was wearing or if he said anything. All I remember is a face smiling down at me. Then things get fuzzy in the memory, and I have this heavy feeling on my chest. The man's smile fades and he looks at the mobile, which just starts working. The clouds and planes moved in circles as the music played. A few seconds later, my mom came running into the room. The man standing over me had vanished. I have no idea where he went, but my mom scooped me up. The way she tells the story, my mom was home with me while my dad was at work. She put me down and was washing dishes in the kitchen when she heard the mobile start playing out of nowhere. Like I said, it needed to be wound up in order to play, but I was alone in my bedroom. My mom says she got this terrible feeling and dropped a plate before running in to check on me. I had thrown up on myself, quite a lot, enough to choke on. My mom grabbed me and patted my back until I coughed and started breathing normally again. She would tell the story all the time, saying she still doesn't know why that mobile started playing out of the blue. She's the one who said it must have been a guardian angel. The second time I saw that man was in a dream when I was 16. I don't remember what the dream was about, but at one point I saw his face in the crowd. The rest of the dream just stopped, like someone pressed pause on a movie. For a second, it was me and the man, face to face. He said one thing that I remembered very clearly. You wouldn't want to die on the way to a funeral. Then he was gone. I don't remember if the dream continued or not. When I woke up, the only thing I remembered was his face and what he said. You wouldn't want to die on the way to a funeral. It partially stuck with me because that morning my family was going to my great-aunt's funeral. We all dressed in black and made the drive a couple towns over. We only went to visit my great-aunt once or twice a year, so it wasn't a drive that my dad was super familiar with. Plus, there was construction causing this long detour. I remember my mom and dad making jokes about how far off into the middle of nowhere this detour was taking us. Then we came to a left turn with a big farmhouse that made it nearly impossible to see what was coming. My dad kept inching the car forward to see if any vehicles were heading this way. Finally, he got frustrated and said, I'm just gonna gun it. Out of nowhere, I remembered my dream and said, you don't want to die on the way to a funeral. Both my dad and mom turned to look at me in the back seat. My mom asked, where'd you hear that? But she was interrupted by a huge truck full of construction supplies flying past us and blaring its horn. If my dad had tried to go, there was no way that truck would have been able to slow down in time. It would have plowed right into us, specifically the side of the car where my mom and I were sitting. No one seemed to fully believe my story about the man in my dream, but we did make it to the funeral alive. The third time it happened was last year. It was also car-related. I'm 25 now, and I was driving home to visit my parents for Christmas. The roads were crazy icy. On the news, they were cautioning people against driving, but my brothers were already there, and I was just eager to see everybody and start celebrating. I hadn't had anything to drink, but the guy coming the opposite direction had. I found that out later. He lost control and started skidding on the ice, into my lane. I can't explain what it's like to see a car speeding into your lane onto the highway. My stomach dropped, I felt completely empty inside. I just turned the steering wheel trying to avoid him, but the front bumper clipped my car not far behind me on the driver's side. The impact sent me spinning on the ice. I did a full 360 before driving into the ditch and slamming into a tree. My head hit the steering wheel hard. I was pretty dazed, but also pumped full of adrenaline from the accident. That's when I heard it, a voice, the man's voice. I glanced out the side window and he was standing across the ditch, next to the road, calling and waving at me. I couldn't make out what he was saying because I was still in shock from hitting my head and the window was still rolled up. But he was motioning at me with his hands. He wanted me to come to him. Without thinking twice, I opened the door, unfastened my seatbelt, and climbed out of the car. I remember crawling across the ditch. My left leg hurt so much I couldn't stand. Later, I found out it was broken in 3 places. I made my way to the road where the man was smiling down at me, then passed out. When I woke up, I was on a stretcher with a paramedic asking me questions. There were police cars and fire trucks everywhere. But in the ditch, only the smoldering frame of my car remained. They said that the drunk driver had punctured my gas tank when he hit me. My car was leaking gasoline when I hit the tree, and it only took a spark to go up in flames. The paramedics said it was a miracle that I climbed free before passing out. If I was still in the driver's seat, I would have died in the fire. I spent months recovering, but that was way better than going up in flames. When I tell anyone these stories, some people say the man is just a figment of my imagination, created by my brain to be the face of my gut reactions and fears. The rational part of me thinks that makes sense, but there's another part of me that believes in guardian angels, and I'm eternally grateful to have mine watching out for me. Of course I believe in guardian angels. I've met mine. During college, I fell in with a group of party girls. I've cleaned up a lot since then, but in those days, we went out most weekends to club or house parties. For spring break my junior year, we decided to go to New Orleans. Yeah, we wanted to take our partying to a whole new level. One girl had been to New Orleans 3 or 4 times, so we let her plan our trip. All I had to do was follow the group and have a good time, which I happily obliged. The first couple of nights were pretty tame. We went out for nice dinners and hit a couple bars, but the big plans were saved for night 3. I don't know how many clubs we hit that third night, but the night slowly became a blur. At one point, I lost my friends, and there was this guy I couldn't seem to shake. He came up to the group while we were dancing, and he kept trying to get between me and everyone else. He wanted to break off and just dance with me. I've been through that before, and I wasn't interested this time. There was something about this guy that just set off my creep alert. Nothing specific that I could put my finger on, just his general vibe. But I learned long before to trust that instinct in situations like this. The times you give guys like that the benefit of the doubt are the times that you regret it, know what I mean? I tried to brush him off, dancing away from him to look for my friends, but he wouldn't let up. He followed me, trying to strike up a conversation over the music. He asked my name and where I was staying. I dodged his questions and told him that I just wanted to find the people I came with. He said, "Let me help you," and grabbed my arm. That's when I lost it. I didn't want this guy touching me, let alone trying to guide me around by the arm. I twisted myself free and shouted, "Don't touch me!" It was definitely loud enough that the people around us noticed. Everyone turned to look at him, which thankfully made the guy back off. I totally took advantage and pushed my way through the crowd away from him. I looked around for my friends, but honestly I was overwhelmed by the whole situation and just wanted some fresh air. I saw a door marked exit and went outside. I must have left out the back of the building because I didn't recognize anything around me. Not that I knew this place all that well, it was my first time there and I had just been going along with the group, so I wasn't fully paying attention to my surroundings. There was this alley behind the club and a chain-link fence surrounding the building on the other side. The door clicked behind me and it took me a second to realize that it locked from the other side. I would have to walk around the entire club to the entrance if I wanted to find my friends. In my tired, drunken state, that seemed like a colossal task, so I just plopped down on the ground and sat for a minute. The door opened behind me, and at first I was relieved that I wouldn't have to walk around the club. Then I saw who opened the door. The same guy who had been creeping on me all night. He asked, "Did you get locked out?" Then offered, "I can let you back inside." I told him that I was done for the night. I was just taking a break before leaving. He didn't like that. He stepped outside and said, "It's not safe to be here alone." I caught myself thinking, yeah, because of you. You're the reason I'm not safe. Instead, I told him, "My friends are waiting for me around front." "Sure they are," he said with a grin before closing the door. It took me a second to realize that he closed the door while staying outside with me. I stared at the ground, not wanting to even look at him, and I said, "I'm not interested in company." He didn't seem to like that either. "Let's just get you out of here." He reached for my arm, but once again I twisted free of him. "Hey, leave her alone!" The shout came from across the alley. A man stood on the other side of the chain-link fence. I couldn't get a good look at him, but I was happy not to be on my own. The creepy guy responded, "We're fine, my girlfriend is just a little drunk." I shook my head. "No, I don't know this guy." The man on the other side of the fence took out his cell phone. "Leave her alone or I'm calling the police." The creepy guy stuttered, I was just checking on her." The guy behind the fence assured him, "She seems fine now, you can go." The creepy guy gave me one more glance before stomping away. I turned to my new friend. Thanks, that guy would not leave me alone. I couldn't make him out too well, but he seemed to be smiling. We ended up talking for 15 or 20 minutes, mostly him asking questions while I sobered up. Once my head cleared, I told him that I should find my friends. I thanked him for saving me from the other guy, who obviously had some unscrupulous plans. He said he was just happy to help. He wished me good luck and told me to take care of myself. When I walked around the building, I discovered the rest of the group was searching for me. We piled into an Uber to head back to our hotel, and the car took us around the block. But I realized that the building behind the club, surrounded by the fence, was a church. an abandoned church. From the looks of it, the place had been boarded up for years, which made me wonder why a man would be standing inside the fence this late at night. He could have been a groundskeeper, or hell, he could have been a homeless man who was squatting at the church. I decided that he was my guardian angel who protected me from who knows what. The whole experience made me rethink my choices and lifestyle. I went easy for the rest of spring break while my friends partied like always. When we got back to school, I paid more attention to my classes and spent less time drinking. By graduation, I wasn't really friends with that group anymore. It was a turning point in my life. I started going to church regularly again, where I ended up meeting my fiancée. We're getting married this fall. Overall, my life's pretty wonderful, and I owe it to my guardian angel.